What other storms have we weathered? Let's give people some hope of some of the shit storms we've had to deal with. Oh, thanks. Oh my, I don't think that's ever going to change. I think that's just always, look,
Well,
the people that are going to do your head in as a property investor are like, the list goes on and on, right? That's just part of the game that you have to get resilient to. Welcome to this Property Life podcast brought to you by Property Wealth System. Today I'm joined by Nick Clayton. I'm Caroline Clayton. So there's a lot to talk about, and we thought we'd dedicate this episode to weathering the storm, because we landed here last Sunday and was hit with Hurricane Beryl and was confined. We were confined to our room for the first 24 hours of our holiday. And it got us thinking about how much stormy weather we've had to endure over the last 15 years of investing in property and having our own business. We thought we'd share some of those storms with you and how we weathered them, so that when you're hit by that hurricane or storm, you don't feel alone, and you know that there's always a sunnier day coming. So if the connection is a little bit wobbly, it's still a bit windy here. The video might be a bit glitchy, but hey, we're trying our best to give you as much value as we possibly can while we're away. So Nick, over the last 15 years or so, what are endure?
well, hi everyone. Finally, good to get a word in after Caroline's lengthy intro. Yeah, metaphorical storms. So yeah, we've had a lot of those over the years. Where should we start today? Should we start 2008? That was quite a big one.
That was a big one.
That was probably the big storm we had when we were first starting out in property, having had a failed recruitment business. I think at the time.
Yeah.
If you can think back to some of the headlines you see in the papers, it was really beyond doom and gloom. It was catastrophic.
Yeah.
And
that 2008 to kill our business, and it was the only way that we knew how to make money. We hadn't even really thought about investing in property as a main source of income. So we were trying to think of every possible solution, like getting another job or our first massive failure. But actually it's turned out to be a blessing in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, that storm went on for a while, but actually once we'd got some education level to do, we realized it actually was a lot of opportunity, and just like, if we're continuing the theme, just like here when the storm hit, it's an opportunity for the hotels and tourism industry to kind of rebuild and maybe rebuild a bit better.
Yeah.
We got ourselves educated, and then we came out the other side a lot stronger, and it gave us a real sense of kind of vision, what we wanted to do, gave us a strong sense of identity, what we wanted to be, what we wanted to achieve, and it gave us that motivation to get on and do it before the next storm hit.
Well, I think, by the way, none of this is ever recorded, because obviously a husband and wife would never agree on what you're going to talk about. So you can tell that we definitely haven't rehearsed this. The storm that everyone is feeling in the UK at the moment, with the headlines of the new Labour government and everything they're planning to do, like raiding pensions and savings and all the loopholes and killing landlords and all of that stuff, that will be making people feel very, very uneasy and scared. And that fear is really always going to be there unless you have a plan and you have a vision and you have solutions. So I guess thinking back to 2008, we did not know what the solution was. We didn't have the plan until we actually attended that property workshop and was like, here's a pathway. We could take this path. This seems better. So I guess finding that path, finding that vision is really key to giving you that hope.
Yeah.
And when there's lack of hope, that's really where you get people's mental health deteriorating and feeling lost and hopeless. And yeah, there's a lot of unhappiness and worry around the UK. But you know what I mean?
That's kind of feel that they're going after us in that way.
Yeah, well, the
That would be
Tories
quite
started
extreme.
that anyway.
But yeah, you know, landlords and investors have been kind of under the cosh a bit for quite a few years now. We're still kind of the, you know, the
Capitalist
target, I think. Yeah. You know, moved on from the bankers to landlords, and it hasn't really left us yet. So we're kind of waiting for, you know,
Yeah.
You know, Labour is talking about the kind of things they want to do. A lot of it is kind of quite anti-landlord,
Yeah.
anti-investor, anti-business. Don't know, but it's strictly anti-business. But you know, they have previous for raising taxes, obviously, and that is something that we do need to think about.
Yeah.
So yes, storm's coming, but what can we do about it?
All right. So let's talk about some of the stuff that might affect property investors that could be a potential storm. So rent caps. Let's talk about how that's going to fare for us.
If they do it, they're talking about it. I think historically it's never worked.
Yeah.
They're trying to control something which is not proven time and time again to be kind of uncontrollable, really. Yeah. Market forces will be what they are.
Yeah.
And you know, unless you go totally
yeah.
Particularly without the supply of housing stock.
Yeah.
So whilst they're talking about building 1.5 million homes, that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah, good one. I think the Tories said they were going to build.
They said 1.6.
Yeah.
1.6.
And they failed at that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it's not happening anytime soon. There's a hell of a lot of red tape to clear away. They're talking about building up on the green belt.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot of opposition to that. They're talking about reforming the planning system, which I think, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
They do reform planning systems. It is extremely, well, clunky and obstructive.
Yeah.
In most areas, I think. So, but that's going to take a lot of time.
A lot of time. Yeah.
You know, so if they bring rent caps in without massively increasing supply, same thing's going to happen. They're just going to make the problem that they perceive it of people not being able to get onto housing. This is going to make that worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Scott was there for a short period of time, and then the minute that the end point came, guess what? The market demand was insane and rents shot up. Alarmingly, like we had properties that were normally renting out at 550, maybe 595, and suddenly now they're commanding nearly 900 quid a month rent because it's just been compressed as a market for a period of time.
Yeah, so, yeah. Combined with all the fear mongering, that means a lot of amateur landlords move out of the market. Yeah. So in fact, you know, I know some bigger landlords that are looking at selling up just because of all the legislation that's talked about coming in.
EPCs, just that alone, having to get it up to scratch.
You know, and I remember, you know, the be in Scotland talking about this and saying, "Oh, that's a great thing." It's like, well, is it though? Because where's that housing stock going? You know, if landlords sell up, who's buying it? Who's buying it?
Yeah.
Because if it's great, first-time buyers coming in and buying it, but where are the people going to live who need to rent, who can't buy?
Yeah.
Who are in no position to buy?
Yeah.
You know, not going to be able to get mortgages. You might be talking about your single parent on benefits.
Yeah.
They're not getting a mortgage.
Yeah.
So how are they buying? You know, they that's where the rental stock traditionally was provided by the state.
And this is a real opportunity. Yeah, a real opportunity. Social housing as one of your strategies is providing that housing stock to housing associations, local governments who have huge long waiting lists of people desperate for housing. There's an opportunity in every economic situation What other storms have we weathered? Let's give people some hope of some of the shit storms we've had to deal with. Oh, banks. Oh my, I don't think that's ever going to change. I think that's just always, look,
Well,
the people that are going to do your head in as a property investor are surveyors downvaluing, your solicitors taking ages, your banks pulling lending, your planning officers declining. Like the list goes on and on, right? That's just part of the game and you have to get resilient to.
yeah, and I think, you know, we've had our fair share of banks proving troublesome. You know, we had bank pull out,
the 11th hour.
11th hour, just
Development
we're about to
finance.
sign papers and pay thousands of pounds legal fees, commit to.
Yeah.
Then they turned around and decided they wanted our house as collateral,
It's
which
crazy.
we politely declined. You know, and I'd start again. So that, you know, this is what can happen, but actually what that did mean is provide another opportunity. We spoke to more people and we found another lender who were great, and they've been, you know, super flexible and supportive of us that we wouldn't have found had that not happened. So it's really easy to, I think, to have what feels like a mortal blow at the time, but actually when you kind of wake up next morning after a storm, you know, you see the other opportunities, you get a bit more perspective.
I do think whenever you're hit by a curveball, like a bank pulling out or a surveyor downvaluing, or tenant trouble, whatever it might be, maintenance issues, it makes you more resourceful because you have to start hustling to solve that problem. And then other solutions come along that you might never have even been looking for before. You might have been lulled into that false sense of security that everything's moving quite nicely. And what I've learned is everything's temporary. So when things are really, really tough, you know that the clearer weather is coming, but when the clearer weather is there, you've got to really enjoy it because the storm's coming again. It's gathering behind you.
Yeah, it's always, and I say straight on that way with it is that, you know, do not expect property investing to be a nice smooth sail. No. It's not a smooth ride. It's going to be at times really stressful. You're going to have things coming out of left field.
Yeah.
Didn't see coming, but you know, the more that we do it, the more, you know, we talk to other investors and people that we train. And if you prepare, you know, for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
Experience, you know, can leverage off the experience of us and our team that have kind of been through most things, I would say, over the last 15, 20 years.
Yep.
There's not a lot we haven't encountered yet.
Yeah.
And that kind of, you know, gives, you know, our newer investors confidence that, you know, they can solve the problems that are going to be coming their way.
Yeah. This market is a really interesting time. And, you know, while we've been out here, we've actually sat down and, you know, done a SWOT analysis on our business, which we don't do as often as we probably should do. But I find that when you're away from the hustle and bustle of everyday living, it gives you that little bit of clarity of space to start thinking, reflecting, and everything's a lesson. Everything is a lesson. Do something is always my thinking. But it takes a lot of life knocks to get that perspective and to be a little more measured in your actions. Because I'm a very emotional person. I would normally explode, shout, swear a lot. And while that still happens, I've taken time to think, okay, so what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do about this now? How am I going to stay one step ahead of this? Because this could happen again. So let's open up other avenues and make sure that, you know, we're ready for that next time, because it could be worse next time. I'm just trying to think of examples of where scenarios like that have happened. I mean, the banking ones are, you know, a really valid one because, you know, they love you one minute, they hate you the next because their appetites change. You know, banks are really frustrating because they are set back in the Stone Age. Look at you at the moment, but
they tend to want to lend you when you don't need it, and when you do need it, and they will lend you.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we actually sat down meeting with a bank recently who we said that, and they kind of laughed and went, yeah. It's like, well,
I've got a very long memory there, so I know the bank. See, when we had that financial challenge back in 2008, 2009, I remember sitting in a branch trying to go for a, and I remember that bank. And so when we have lots of money swirling around bank accounts and never goes near them. I know that sounds petty, but that gives you a little insight of how I operate, because yeah, banks love you when you've got it because then they can leverage off you, right? So yeah, just watch the game that's being played around. And the same goes for agents. They're like butterflies that love you when you're buying something and then completely elements to the game that once you learn and you've been educated in and shown, you get much, much slicker at handling when they come your way. What other curveballs we had? What other storms?
I think there's a lot of things when you start now, particularly things that seem like major hurricanes are actually just little depressions.
Not depressions, minds, with your mental health.
But not depressions. Little weather. Days we have a bit of weather. But it's not a hurricane. It's not disaster. I think when you start now, it's easy to see every bit of weather as a hurricane.
Yeah.
Actually, very rarely is. It's just about having a good network. I think understanding that these things are always going to happen. There's always going to be things that go wrong. I don't think we've ever had a property deal go smoothly, start to finish, no problems. It's always something.
Yeah.
And focus on the things you can control. We can't control which government are going to get elected.
No.
You can have your say, but you're not going to control it, and you can't control what they're going to do. What you can be sure of is whatever government you're in, whatever policies they do implement, there will be opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, who was in power back in 2008? I mean, I think that's a valid point. Like, I would literally have forgotten every chancellor.
That's Labour back into
implemented. You're like, okay, let's just roll with that. Speak to our tax advisor. There'll be a solution around that. And we, the correct tax advice for us when we started was buy in your personal names, buy one in your name, Nick, one in your name, Caroline, one in your name, Nick, one in your name, Caroline. We get more lending. It protects your assets. If your identity is stolen, then you can still build the business. For all those reasons, that was the correct advice at that time. And then policies change, new chancellors come along, they implement. So you have to pivot with that and change things. And yeah, there might be a bit of what I call taking your medicine. It might be a bit bitter, short term, but long term, it all evens itself out in the long run. And I think that's really key is once you've embarked in this business, it's not just a 6-month get rich quick. It's right. This is you creating a medium to long term plan, and you're going to weather many storms along the way. But if you stick
rents also on an upward trend.
Rents are on an upward trend.
But in the meantime, interest rates are going to fluctuate.
Yeah, people need somewhere to live. It's one of the basic human survival requirements.
Wages are on an upward trend.
If you look at all the big picture stuff, you're like, it's still a great business to be in. You've got undersupply, over demand, population that's increasing. Like when you start talking about it like that, you're like, why wouldn't you be in this business?
You've got to take a long-term view. I mean, we've just think about it, since we started investing properly, professionally, we've been started with the Labour government, went into Conservative government for years, been through, but now we're back to Labour government again. But our plan hasn't changed.
No.
It's adapted.
Yeah.
We haven't changed.
Yeah.
We're not exiting the market. We're not panicking.
Yeah.
It's just right. Okay, let's look at what we're faced with. Let's look at what are the opportunities around that.
Yeah.
Great. Let's get on with it.
All the media, remember, controlling the masses. And for people who are in jobs on fixed incomes that can't make any more money than what they're physically doing right now, then this is a really stressful, unpleasant time. And
because you feel you don't feel in control.
Yeah, exactly. So this time more than ever is the opportunity to enter into your own business with as little seed capital than ever before. And actually the failure rate is excited about it, because I know for the masses, they'll do nothing or they'll panic. And we've read newspaper articles where people are moving to Australia. They're taking their kids out of school and going non-dom, non-res. And that seems really extreme as a reaction. So again, I keep coming back to have that vision, have the plan. Why are you doing it in the first place? recognize that things are always going to be coming your way that are unexpected and feel uncomfortable. But in that discomfort, your business gets, the bigger the problems are and the better at problem solving you have to be. So, you know, when we started out, I remember thinking, how am I ever going to find 10 to 15 grand of a refurb? That was just absolutely paralyzing my brain at that time. But now we've just added a few more zeros to it. My brain's not paralyzed. I'm like, it'll come, I'll find it. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I know I'm going to get it. And that just comes from years of that I've received over the years and seeking people that are 10 years ahead of us. We're still doing that now. 25 years of property investing, we are still meeting up with people that we seem and deem to be 10 years ahead of us and going, right, how did you do this? How did you do that? You know, banks' appetites might be different, lending criteria might be different, but there will be techniques and little strategies used 10 years ago that will still be appropriate today that we could learn from people better than us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just having that long-term plan. Always come back to that, know what you're trying to do, and don't deviate from it. Don't give up too easily.
There we are. So Hurricane Beryl nearly got us. In fact, completely knackered our holiday because we were meant to be 1 week in St. Lucia, 1 week in Beckway, but Beckway was completely wiped out. So we just had to adjust, pivot, change as we have to do in business.
First world problems.
Yeah, first world problems. I'm sure we're not going to get much sympathy for that one. But hope that you've enjoyed the content that we've shared today. We've got a lot of feedback on the episode that Nick and I did on working together as a couple. So
you want to do another one?
Oh, we'll make it
like an update.
I can't even remember what I said in it, to be honest. But anyway, do give us feedback on the kind of stuff you want to hear from us. We do have our This Property Life website now up, live and running. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, carolineclayton.property. I have the amazing Catherine working with me, who's filling content on that Instagram channel regularly now with little tips and tricks to keep you motivated and educated.
Yeah, so we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Do let us know via our website, This Property Life, any questions that you want us to answer. Yeah. We'll do some question and answer episodes. Myself, Rick, Sarah and Caroline will be coming to you with some great interviews. We've got loads of great people lined up to give you some insights and our own chat as well. Our take on the market. As you know, it's always kind of warts and all. We don't just paint the nice rosy picture. It's not all cupcakes and rainbows. It's you know, we do talk about the challenges as well we have and how we overcome them. So, you know, do interact with us. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we will speak to you again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nick. Back to the Pina Colada.